Hello, my name is Mitto, and I want to talk about the game Undertale. Firstly, the most impactful thing about Undertale is playing it for yourself. I want to talk about my personal experience in the game, but that has the potential to ruin it for you who might not have played it. So this video is really intended for those who have actually played the game. This isn't a review, but I do feel the need for a quick primer for those who haven't played it. Undertale is a short RPG-styled game, mainly created by this one guy, Toby Fox. He designed it, he wrote it, he did most of the art, he did all the music. Where Undertale distinguishes itself is in its combat system, where it gives you the ability to be able to resolve conflicts non-violently, mainly through talking with the enemies and understanding them. It has a really keen sense of humour, and it brings a really thoughtful and meaningful approach to games and resolving conflict. It's about 6 to 7 hours long, it is about $10 on Steam, and it's just really worth playing. This is all I knew before starting Undertale, and it's all you really need to know and probably should know. I'm going to begin to start talking about my experience with the game, and this will include spoilers, so if you haven't played it, I'd really encourage you to go play it and turn off this video and don't watch it until you've actually finished it. One of the big issues that I have with modern games is that they rely very heavily on conflict and violence as a primary mechanic to forward the story. Don't get me wrong, I definitely believe that there is a place for violence in some video games, for some to be fully realized, or they use it to a particular point to increase the effect. I definitely think that there is a place, but I just feel as if too many games rely on it. When games give me the option to resolve conflict non-violently, I usually take that path. So I began Undertale with the idea that I was not going to kill anyone in the game. However, I found that within the first hour, Undertale was actually forcing me to kill a character. The protagonist wants to leave the ruins and go back to where they actually came from. However, the character Toriel isn't going to allow that. I tried to reason with her, but she was adamant. She wasn't going to let me go. I thought that the game was forcing me to kill her. I thought that that was the only option. Like the protagonist, who is just a child, still trying to learn and come to grips with the world and how it works, I misunderstood the world and the game. I thought that the game was trying to say, this is just how life is. Sometimes you have to make the decisions that you don't necessarily want to make. So, regretfully, I killed Toriel. It wasn't until after that I realized that I didn't actually have to kill her. There were actually other options. If I had just continued begging her to let me go, she would have let me go. All I wanted to do was just go back and start the game over again because I'd screwed up and I'd done it wrong and I wanted to do it correctly. But eventually I decided that I wasn't going to, I was going to continue, because in real life, you can't actually take back those decisions that you make. And so why should this only be any different? I should live with those decisions, and I used it to create a vow that I would never, ever kill anyone again. This is a really incredible first hour. I had taken ownership and responsibility of the decisions that the character was making because I had made those decisions. The game had not built a character for me to relate to. I was the character. I became personally invested with the story within the first hour due to my unique experience in the game, and that's really hard for somebody to do. Or at least I thought my experience was unique. I went online afterwards, and as it turns out, many people had the exact same experience I had. And this is what Undertale does so well. The game is always one step ahead of you. Toby Fox predicts your actions and then manages to tailor the story in a way that makes you feel like it's you making those decisions. He was guiding me down a path that I thought I was making myself, but in reality, I was just doing exactly what he wanted me to do. This led to an absolutely excruciating decision towards the game's ending in the fight with Asgore. After completing the battle, Asgore begins to lament about all the decisions that he had made. He just says that the only thing he actually wants is what's best for the people, and now he just wants to be with his child, who actually died before the beginning of the game, and he wants to be with his wife, who is Toriel, who I killed at the beginning of the game. This really could mean a number of things depending on how you played the game. But in my context, Asgore didn't know that Toriel was dead. So I had a moral dilemma. Do I let Asgore live, completing my vow of never killing another person, but only for him to realize that his wife has been killed? Or do I have mercy on him and kill him and let him be reunited with his child and his wife. How do you make this decision? Eventually I decided that I would spare him, but it was primarily because I didn't want the entire world of monsters to hate me forever for killing their king. But the best part is, this was all internal monologue for me. The game didn't spell this out or do any of this for me. This was all in my head. I made up this story. The game was just providing a framework for it. It's sort of like I was colouring in this beautiful picture where there's these lines and they suggest what to do, but ultimately I get to decide what it looks like. To me, this is so much better and so much more compelling than, say, the Telltale games or Life is Strange, which have a branching storyline. In those games, you make a decision, you choose a predetermined path, and you watch it play out. And that's really great. I really love them. But you're a passenger in the story. Admittedly a backseat driver, but you're still a passenger. In Undertale, it isn't making choices, and it isn't that illusion of choice. It's helping craft the story. It's just so different from each other that, like, I'm trying to fit it into the metaphor, but it just doesn't work. Like, they're so wildly different. I loved Undertale, but it was mainly for its fantastic ability to tell the story and make me relate to it. It's interactive storytelling at its absolute finest.